Real quick, before I get into this video, just want to remind everyone I have a DK Metcalf video currently up on my Patreon. So if you want to check that out, the link is in the description. Only $1 a month, so feel free to check that out. And if not, that's cool too. Hope you enjoy this video. So I figured I should make a video on the Carlos Dunlap trade. If you missed it, Cincinnati has sent Carlos Dunlap, who's been a pretty underrated player for quite some time there, to the Seattle Seahawks. So, pretty interesting move. Seattle gave up a 7th round pick along with center BJ Finley, who has had his moments in very limited playing time for Pittsburgh, although he didn't have a snap this season. He only has about 1,000 snaps throughout the course of his career in 5 years. So, maybe Cincinnati's hoping they can get some upgrade on the offensive line, but also basically they just realized that if Dunlap wants to trade, it might be the best move to just get him out of there. So yeah, let's talk about what Dunlap is going to bring to Seattle, because he is a good player. As I said before, he's had some really good years. What he can do really well is use his strength to his advantage. He's a good strength guy. This is an example. He's going up one-on-one against 78 right there, Baltimore's right tackle. That's Orlando Brown Jr., a really good player for Baltimore. And what Dunlap is going to do is he's going to watch out right when this ball is snapped. He's basically just going to try to use his power to get through here. He's going to allow Brown to get his arm to the outside. That outside arm, that's what I talk a lot about when it comes to an edge rusher. Well, Dunlap isn't too concerned. He's going to try to bull rush here, basically just put both his arms on Brown's midsection, basically on his chest area, and try to just push him. And he's strong enough that watch how he's going to be able to pull it off. It was largely set up. He gets the sack. It was largely set up because of pressure on the other side. That absolutely helped, but still a really good play. And that's not an easy guy to move, but Dunlap can move him, and he even sort of gets into some sort of, altercation after it, which, hey, that's football. It happens. So despite being 31, he absolutely still has that. This next play is another really good one against Baltimore. There's going to be two key matchups I want you to take a look at. It's going to be the right guard going up against an interior defensive lineman, so not Dunlap. And then Dunlap's going up one-on-one against a tight end. So you would expect this to be a really good matchup for Dunlap. The one exception is that you have Brown, who is still going to be able to be in the area. He's not running a route. He's an offensive lineman. He's staying there, and he's basically just going to block anyone who happens to get into his way. So if Dunlap gets to the inside or gets to the outside, but just sort of starts winning his matchup, then Brown will just take him out of the way. So for Dunlap, that's kind of the goal on this play. There's a tight end in the game who's blocking you. Make the tackle also block you. Don't let them get away with using a tight end to block you. And so that's what he's going to do. Watch how right when this play starts. This is actually going very well for Baltimore. This is Nick Boyle, and he's doing a good job. Nick Boyle is the tight end. He's doing a really good job on this one. You notice how, he kind of has the outside arm in an okay spot, but what he's trying to do is he's trying to use his own left arm to grab Dunlap's right arm. What Dunlap wants to do is a rip move at this point, which means that Dunlap is going to get his own right arm, get it underneath Boyle's arm, and then continue driving in that direction. This is well done by Boyle, but it doesn't matter. As you see, Dunlap is still able to get that arm underneath, and he's able to get in position where Brown does have to take him out of the play. And there even is some contact despite that to Lamar Jackson, which results in what should have been an immediate interception. Obviously, he only had a little bit to do with the contact. Most of the contact was a different player, but he still helped disrupt Jackson a little bit as well. And also, I think it's worth mentioning, that the reality is you see that Dunlap was able to sort of take on a double team. He forced a tackle and a tight end to get in his area. And what ended up happening was there was a one-on-one matchup with a guard that the guard lost, and that created with a tackle, not a guard. The guard ran over to try to help, but it was too late, and that's what created a near interception, what should have been an interception. And so, for Seattle, I think the idea is, hey, if you have someone like Dunlap, he's going to at least take on double teams, and that could make it easier for everyone else at times. But I have to be honest. Honestly, Dunlap doesn't totally look like the same guy. He just doesn't. He's a bit slower at times. He's taking plays off. I think a lot of it, honestly, is just that he doesn't care about being in Cincinnati. I think his heart doesn't look in it. That's just my opinion. But his heart looked in it last year, so it's a bit confusing, I think. That being said, I do feel like he is a bit slower. And look at this one, for example. Let's take a look at this one. He's going to be going up against a guard. It's going to be a running play. That's the way this play is going to work. And Dunlap's going to do a great job right when this ball is snapped, where he notices that 77 is going to go after him. So watch how he just sidesteps him and is able to get completely free. Now, there's obvious pros and cons to this situation. The pro is that you're right in front of Chubb. The only downside is Chubb could potentially run by you, and obviously he's a really good player and he can run by a lot of people. I feel like in the past, Carlos Dunlap would make this play. In this situation, he's not going to be able to. Chubb just runs right by him. And, listen, there's a lot of people that Chubb has ran by. It's hard to blame him too much, but it did look a little bit clunkier in sort of his lateral movement. I think this play is a great example. I mean, listen, he's 31. He is getting older, and this is a really good example where it's going to be a run, but he doesn't know it's going to be a run pre-snap because it could be, play action. Wentz could keep it himself and run. Philadelphia will do that. Dunlap is the guy in the black circle. He's getting unblocked on this play. So they're kind of relying on Dunlap to not be able to make this read quick enough. But that's going to, at first, backfire. It can be very tempting to just completely run straight to the handoff, which can allow a back to run by you. But as you see, Dunlap, he just sits in the edge, which is what you're supposed to do. This is a good job by Dunlap. He's given himself enough space so that if it's a handoff, he can run over and make a tackle there. But if it isn't a handoff and Wentz is keeping it himself, he can run to the middle of the field and make a tackle there. At least if he was faster, he has enough space for that. As you see, he's going to just get completely ran by here. And I feel like, again, maybe he just had a couple of bad plays, and other than that, he's been good. That's totally possible. But to me, I do feel like he is a bit slower, and it hurts him in the running game more than the passing game. He used to be sort of a good pass rusher, but a great run stopper. Now I think he's still a good pass rusher, but kind of an okay run stopper, which I actually think is fine for Seattle. I don't think they're too concerned about that. And I also don't want to try to make this a bigger deal than it might seem. I don't think he's bad. I think he's still a really good player, or I won't say really good, but I think he's still a good player, and I do think there is that one part of his game that has dropped off a little bit, but we've seen plenty of defensive linemen who have sort of had one part of their game drop off when they hit like 28 and then still play for, 5-6 more years at a good level. So that could happen with Dunlap. It really could. And honestly, he doesn't use speed too much. Like this one's another great example where what's going to happen is that this is going to be a heavy blitz. It's actually going to be cover 0. So they're going to have 6 people rush the passer. Cincinnati is. So for Philadelphia, they have 5 people blocking. It's what you see on the screen. That's who they're going to be blocking. One linebacker is going to drop back in the coverage, but they also have another player who's just off screen who's going to run over, and he's going to rush Wentz. And for Dunlap, he is lined up all the way on the right side of the screen. And watch how he's just going to go full bull rush. And again, I'm not showing him do this against the worst tackles in the league. This is Lane Johnson. He's going up against some of the better tackles in the league right now. And watch how he is going to be able to just push Johnson way further back and eventually is able to get a pressure on Wentz that causes Wentz to just throw the ball away. Again, the extra pressure helped, but still, he did a very good job on that one, and that's what he can do. He will be a good addition to Seattle, no doubt about it. I do feel like I've seen his game be a bit lackluster this season, but who knows? It could just be a combination of him playing good competition, which he has done, and also just playing for Cincinnati. Maybe his heart just isn't in it as much, and going to a championship contending team could change that. I like the move, and you're not giving up too much for Seattle, so it's kind of a no-brainer. For Cincinnati, I think, it's fine. This is what you kind of have to do in this situation, and you're not making the playoffs or anything, so why not? That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.